Weeks of negotiations have culminated into the International Monetary Fund agreeing to clear a loan worth $2.9 billion for the island nation Sri Lanka. The agreement is subject to approval by IMF management and its executive board and is contingent on Sri Lankan authorities following through with previously agreed measures. Meanwhile, people in the country continue to reel under an economic situation that has pushed them towards poverty. They are finding it hard to make their ends meet and are desperately looking for avenues of help.
Sri Lanka has reached a preliminary agreement with the International Monetary Fund for a loan of about $2.9 billion as the country seeks a way out its worst economic crisis in decades. The agreement is subject to approval by IMF management and its executive board and is contingent on Sri Lankan authorities following through with previously agreed measures. IMF conditions for the loan also include receiving financial assurances from Sri Lanka's official creditors and efforts by the country to reach an agreement with private creditors. Its program, spread over 4 years, will aim to boost government revenue, encourage fiscal consolidation, introduce new pricing for fuel and electricity, hike social spending, bolster central bank autonomy, and rebuild depleted foreign reserves. Once the IMF package is approved, Sri Lanka is also likely to receive further financial support from other multilateral creditors.
The objective of this fund-supported economic program is to restore macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability, while at the same time protecting the vulnerable, safeguarding financial stability, and stepping up structural reforms to address corruption vulnerabilities and unlock Sri Lanka's growth potential in the time ahead.
Sri Lanka's current financial turmoil, its worst since the country's independence from Britain in 1948, stems from economic mismanagement as well as the COVID-19 pandemic that has wiped out the country's key tourism industry. Sri Lankans have faced acute shortages of fuel and other basic goods for months, stoking unprecedented protests that forced a change in government. Ranil Wickremesinghe, a veteran lawmaker who took over as president in July, has faced an uphill battle to stabilize the economy, which has been buffeted by runaway inflation that is now at almost 65% year on year.
This is an important step in the history of our country. It's the first time that we've declared bankruptcy. And this is a key not only to resolving the immediate issues of rising from the bankruptcy crisis and the debt moratorium, but is also a key to ensure that in the medium term, our social sectors are protected and both the economic and our social, both the economic and the social aspect of our lifestyle will certainly not have any further setbacks. So this is what we are committed to.
Meanwhile, millions of residents continue to struggle to feed their families, and there seems to be no light at the end of the tunnel for most Sri Lankans. The UN says more than a quarter of the country's 22 million people are now struggling to secure adequate, nutritious food. The crisis has left people unable to even afford a square meal and basic study material for their children. They can now only rely on the charity of employers for money to buy them. Hunger and poverty is spiraling across the country and desperation is seeping in. And in such circumstances, one can only hope and ask the situation improves in coming days.